really started to see the influence of television during Eisenhower's presidential campaign in the early 1950s. With his symbolic "I Like Ike" slogan that was able to help reach to the masses of the American people through television. We also saw television had a drastic effect on politics in the 1960 presidential debate. Up to that point, it was an extremely close race between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, with no real candidate with an upper edge. With televised debates, John F. Kennedy had a spike in his poll numbers that eventually pulled away, and many say that his sex appeal was able to trump over Richard Nixon's character and ultimately led to his downfall. Television gave the American people the gift of witnessing some of the most dramatic political events unfold firsthand in their own living rooms, such as the JFK inauguration, where he asked us what we can do for our country, the Cuban Missile Crisis, where tensions during the Cold War reached massive heights, and the Bill Clinton impeachment for, well, you know.
Ayo!
As we've marched through the years of American history, the medium of television has exponentially grown, and in turn, so has the exposure of politics on television. It seems you can't switch through channels without seeing a news network channel that is talking about Barack Obama or Donald Trump nowadays. So now that we know how TV has evolved in terms of politics, how has it affected this current landscape today? We took to some of Penn State Brandywine's finest for a more in-depth discussion about it.
Hello, my name is Cliff Welding. I'm a professional tutor here at Penn State Brandywine's Brandywine Learning Center and STEM Lab.
All right. Cliff, do you feel that media, TV, has an impact on politics and viewers' opinions?
Absolutely. Television and media in general is the main source of where the majority of the population will get their information. So having that as the main source of information obviously is not the correct way to go. You should get your sources through television, newspapers, and independent media, as well as social media. We know that social media has really changed the face of how people get their information. So, in reality, yes, that is where the majority of people get their information. So, that's the majority of the population can be influenced by that.
All right, Cliff. My second question for you is, reiterating the previous made statement, is this a good or bad thing?
A little bit of both. In my opinion, I think it's a bad thing. I think that people should be reading newspapers. People should be going to town hall meetings. They should be inquiring about basically the leadership and what the leadership is doing in their communities and on the national stage. That being said, we live in a world where people work longer hours. We live in a world where people may not have the time or energy to go to town halls or even have the time to read. It's a different world that we live in today. So in a way, yes, they do get their information quickly, but I'm afraid that people are going to make voting decisions based on sound bites versus the issues themselves.
Hello, Christopher Samala, an employee of Brandywine Learning, tutor, instructor, and like one of many, too many roles, too many hats to wear, including this one.
All right. Mr. Cimbala, do you think that poll voting numbers have decreased in the past few decades?
Poll voting numbers have gone down and up. In the 90s, there was like a real lack of public interest, but after December 11th, there was a huge upsurge. I mean, the 2004-2008 elections had huge poll results.
Okay. Reiterating the pre-mentioned statement, do you feel television is a catalyst of that?
Oh, most definitely. Especially since it feels like the presidential race is covered almost the moment one ends. Like, you know, when any given election cycle, like maybe a year goes by before we're suddenly speculating on who's going to win the next presidential bid and say 4 years down the road. So yeah, television definitely has an influence in helping drive poll numbers up.
Hi, I'm Christine Brown. I'm Penn State faculty and I'm coordinator of Brandywine Learning.
Okay. Mrs. Brown, do you feel that media coverage gives an unfair advantage to those who get more media press than others? For example, Donald Trump versus Mike Huckabee.
Yes, I think that someone who is willing to say outrageous things or say things that they know, maybe not outrageous, but things that will get them covered on the press get a lot of advantage because they get a lot of free coverage from the media versus people that don't say those things.
All right. Do you think the Republican-Democrat debates on live TV affect people versus them driving to cities and talking to people in person? You know, such as the old kissing babies would be?
Yes, I think that the television debates, even if people don't watch them as much as they used to, will be more effective than going city to city, that you can really reach out to a larger audience of people. Plus, it allows them to take little snippets and replay those things over and over again and use those quotes. Both sides can do that. So I think that's definitely an effect.
In conclusion, it's clearly evident that the medium of television has forever changed how we intake politics as an American society.
So Bailey, how do you think we did on this iMovie project?
I'll tell you what, Michael. I think we did huge!
Huge, 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 huge. Ayo!